The Galactic Naval Academy's gleaming corridors buzzed with the conversations of 100 different species, their translators creating a symphony of overlapping voices. Among the towering Zorlaxians with their crystalline exoskeletons and the graceful ethereals floating inches above the ground, Cadet Sarah Chen looked remarkably unremarkable. At 5 feet 6 inches, she was shorter than most of her classmates. Her plain brown hair tied back in regulation style, her human features drawing curious glances, but little respect. "Look what the recruitment office dragged in from the outer rim," sneered Vexthor, a massive Cronin whose purple-scaled hide rippled with embedded bioarmor. His forearms crossed as he blocked Sarah's path to the combat simulator. Another soft-skinned Deathworlder pretending to be military material. The corridor fell silent. Other cadets, mostly from core worlds with advanced civilizations, gathered to watch the confrontation. Vexthor stood nearly 8 feet tall, his species bred for conquest across a dozen star systems. His reputation at the Academy was legendary, undefeated in combat trials, feared even by the instructors. Sarah simply adjusted her datapad and tried to step around him. "Excuse me, Cadet. I have a simulation scheduled." Vexthor's mandibles clicked in what passed for Cronin laughter. "Simulation? You mean the children's training program they designed for fragile species?" His massive hand shot out, shoving Sarah backward with casual strength that would have sent most beings sprawling. Sarah stumbled but remained upright, her brown eyes never leaving his face. "I'd prefer not to have a problem with you." "Too late for that, Deathworlder." Vexthor's bioarmor began to glow with threat display patterns. "Your pathetic species shouldn't be allowed in real military academies. You break too easily. You die from things that barely inconvenience real soldiers." A Zephyrian cadet floated closer, her translucent form shimmering. "Vexthor speaks truth. Humans require environmental suits for most habitable worlds. They cannot breathe methane or survive in acid rain. They are limited." Sarah's jaw tightened, but her voice remained level. "We all have our strengths." "Strengths?" Vexthor boomed, drawing an even larger crowd. "Your maximum lifting capacity is pathetic. Your reaction speed is slower than a dying Slagarian. Your bones break from impacts that wouldn't bruise my hide." He leaned down, his breath hot against Sarah's face. "What exactly do you think you can contribute to real warfare, Softskin?" For a moment, Sarah was quiet. Then she looked up at the towering alien with something that might have been pity. "You really want to know?" "Enlighten us," Vexthor said, spreading all forearms wide in mock invitation. Sarah nodded slowly. "Challenge accepted. Combat ring. Now." The gathered cadets exchanged glances. Several began backing away, recognizing the shift in atmosphere. Vexthor's mandibles clicked rapidly in excitement. "Excellent. I'll try not to kill you too quickly." The Academy's combat ring was designed to accommodate various species' fighting styles. Energy barriers prevented lethal damage while allowing full contact combat. As they entered the arena, Instructor Krell, a grizzled veteran from the Hegemony Wars, activated the recording systems. "Standard combat protocols," Krell announced through the intercom. "Victory by submission, knockout, or surrender. Medical systems are active." Vexthor cracked his knuckles, all 16 of them, and activated his bioarmor's combat mode. Plates shifted and hardened, spikes emerged along his forearms, and his natural weapons gleamed under the arena lights. He looked like a living tank. Sarah removed her uniform jacket, revealing the simple gray training clothes underneath. No armor, no weapons, no enhancement technology. She rolled her shoulders and settled into a ready stance that looked almost casual. "Any last words, Deathworlder?" Sarah smiled, and for the first time there was something predatory in her expression. "Yeah. You asked what humans contribute. To warfare? We contribute this. We're the only species crazy enough to evolve on a planet that's actively trying to kill us every single day." The combat bell chimed. Vexthor charged with the force of an armored transport, his massive frame thundering across the ring. His strike could have punched through starship hull plating. Sarah wasn't there. She moved like liquid mercury, every motion perfectly calculated. As Vexthor's momentum carried him past her, Sarah's elbow found the weak point behind his left shoulder plate, a joint she'd identified during his threat display. The impact sent a shockwave through his bioarmor. Vexthor spun, confused but enraged. He swung all four arms in a devastating pattern that should have caught any opponent. Sarah flowed between the strikes like wind through a forest, each movement minimal but precise. Her hand snapped out, fingers rigid, striking a nerve cluster at Vexthor's neck. His left side went momentarily numb. "Impossible!" he snarled, backing away to reassess. "Your reflexes are too slow." "You're thinking like a predator," Sarah replied, circling him with measured steps. "Humans aren't apex predators. We're persistence hunters. We don't need to be faster. We need to be smarter." Vexthor roared and unleashed his full arsenal, bioelectric attacks, razor-sharp bone spurs, crushing grabs that could dent steel. For 30 seconds, the ring filled with violence that would have liquefied most carbon-based life forms. When the dust settled, Vexthor stood alone in the center of the ring, chest heaving, looking around in confusion. Sarah's voice came from behind him. "We also evolved to be very, very good at breaking things." Her fingers found the exact pressure point where his exoskeleton joined his spine. She applied pressure with surgical precision. Not enough to cause permanent damage, but sufficient to override his nervous system's control of his bioarmor. Vexthor's armor began shutting down, plates retracting, weapons withdrawing. He turned to face her, and for the first time in his life, he saw something that made him take an involuntary step backward. Sarah Chen stood perfectly still, breathing, normally without a scratch on her. Her brown eyes held the calm patience of a species that had spent millions of years learning to outlast saber-toothed tigers, ice ages, and planetary catastrophes. "Surrender," she said quietly, "or I'll show you why Earth's gravity is considered a war crime by most civilized species." Vexthor's mandibles trembled. Around the ring, alien cadets who had been jeering minutes before now watched in absolute silence. I yield." Sarah nodded and stepped back, instantly returning to her unremarkable, friendly demeanor. "Good match. You're strong, probably the strongest opponent I'll face here. But strength isn't everything." As the medical team checked Vexthor for injuries, 3 cracked ribs, 2 sprained joints, and severely bruised pride, Instructor Krell's voice echoed through the arena. "Cadets, you have just witnessed why Earth is classified as a Class 12 death world, and why humans are the only species to volunteer for frontline combat duty in every major conflict for the past century. Dismissed." Sarah collected her jacket and headed for the exit. As she passed the still stunned crowd of alien cadets, she heard whispered conversations beginning, not mocking this time, but respectful, even awed. Behind her, Vexthor was helped to his feet, looking at the human cadet with something approaching reverence. Sometimes the most dangerous predators, Sarah reflected, were the ones that didn't look dangerous at all. The galaxy was still learning that lesson,